Welcome back for another deep dive. We're cracking open Covert Mission by Rebecca Deal this time around. Espionage, secrets, high-stakes situations, you know those are right up my alley. And Deal really piles on the intrigue. Plus, we're working with excerpts from different parts of the book, which makes it extra fun to unravel.
It's like piecing together a puzzle. We're
Yeah.
trying to make sense of it all. And the million-dollar question we're wrestling with is, what exactly is the Brotherhood after? And how far will our protagonists, Seth and Tegan, go to expose them?
Well, right off the bat, we're thrown into a pressure cooker. Seth's undercover, a cop knee-deep in the world of this dangerous militia, the Brotherhood, and it's clear his life's on the line.
And that's where Tegan enters the picture. A total pro. But her true allegiance is anyone's guess at first. Ally or threat. Deal uses some smart moves early on. That Fortress Security business card Tegan carries, a kiss on the back of Seth's hand, talking about smooth under pressure, and even Seth admitting she's growing on him, instantly sets up this charged dynamic between them.
Speaking of charged, the story kicks off with Seth and his CI, Pico, getting attacked on a morning run. Kind of makes you rethink that morning jog, huh?
That's what sucks you in,
Yeah.
right? But it's not just action for the sake of it. Before Pico's killed and Seth's injured, he manages to warn Seth. A cop's involved with the Brotherhood. Talk about a gut punch. Now everyone's suspect in Seth's eyes.
Makes you wonder how anyone wouldn't be suspicious of Tegan and this whole Fortress Security outfit, especially Seth's partner, Noah, when he tries running a background check on her and gets, well, nothing. Fortress Security is like something out of a spy film. They bury employee info. They're global. They've got government ties.
Oh,
Whole other level.
no kidding. And it's that air of secrecy that makes Fortress Security so intriguing, maybe even a little unsettling. They hold all the cards. But Seth and Noah are about to find out just how high the stakes really are.
Because then comes the offer that changes everything, like they were watching all along. Fortress Security approaches Seth and Noah. Go undercover inside the Brotherhood. Sounds straightforward until you hear the catch. To gain the militia's trust, they've got to make Seth and Noah look dirty, like they've crossed some serious lines.
This is where Deal digs into the moral dilemmas of undercover work. Can they justify trashing their reputations, maybe even their careers, for a shot at the truth? It's a question that'll follow them throughout their mission.
So Seth and Noah take the plunge. Back to Ardmore they go, but this time they're playing the part of disgraced cops while infiltrating a dangerous militia. Talk about high pressure.
And that pressure cooker is where the real Seth and Tegan begin to emerge. They've got to trust each other, rely on each other in ways neither of them expected. Remember that line from Keegan? I want to know the real Seth Dixon, and I can't do that if you're dead. Beneath that tough exterior, you see her vulnerability, a hint of something deeper forming.
Good thing she's tough, because this world doesn't pull any punches. We get glimpses into her past, escaped a cult, learned to pick locks and handle weapons like a pro. Deal writes, she'd been a street rat before she joined the army. Explains a lot about her guard being up.
And control, or the illusion of it, that's a big theme here. Take the ranch. This elite club Seth and Noah visit as part of their cover. It screams power and influence, a world Seth knows, but it's a world away from the gritty reality of the Brotherhood. Deal uses this setting to highlight the layers of deception Seth and Noah are caught in. Masks upon masks, all while staying one step ahead.
Just when you think it can't get more complicated, bam, 3 more detectives join the operation. Knight, Marsh, and Bowen, all with special forces backgrounds. That's a lot of testosterone and tactical know-how in one place.
Definitely raises the stakes. They're loyal to Seth, but the mission's got them questioning things. Even within law enforcement, some lines make you think twice, or at least they do for these guys.
And speaking of lines, how about Fortress Security sticking trackers in the team? Talk about a lack of trust. Makes you realize nobody's quite who they seem, and even the good guys play dirty.
It's like they say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But in this case, it's tough to tell who's who. Which brings us to the gates of Haven, the Brotherhood's compound. This is where things get even more interesting.
Haven. Sounds peaceful, doesn't it? But like you said, things are about to get interesting. And that whole family vibe the Brotherhood keeps pushing, well, it starts to unravel as we get deeper into their compound, especially with Seth insisting on locking their quarters. Doesn't exactly scream trust, does it?
It's a smart move by Deal, using the setting to mirror what's going on inside the characters' heads. Haven, with all this talk of family and unity, should feel safe. But Seth's guts telling him to keep his guard up, to maintain a barrier, shows you how deceiving appearances can be.
And Tegan's no stranger to deception herself, right? But she also knows how to stand her ground. Like
Yeah.
that scene with the handsy enforcer, she tells him, I don't like to be cornered. Gives me chills just thinking about it. You know she means business.
Definitely. Speaks volumes about her strength, her resilience. It's like, remember how she escaped that cult as a teenager? As awful as that experience was, it equipped her to handle this world, you know? No wonder she keeps people at arm's length.
Speaking of keeping distance, something shifts between Seth and Tegan at Haven. There's a moment where Tegan opens up about her past, shows a vulnerability we haven't seen before. You realize beneath those tough exteriors, they're both carrying a lot of baggage.
For sure. And that shared vulnerability creates a different kind of intimacy. It's not just the sparks flying anymore. There's a real connection building,
Yeah.
fueled by trust. Deal uses these quieter moments to add depth, to remind us that even in chaos, people connect.
This is a deep dive into a covert op, though, so back to the action. That escape Jillian and Ruben pull off had me on the edge of my seat. How'd they do it? Working with someone on the inside, maybe? It's moments like that that keep you guessing.
It shows that the Brotherhood, like any group, has its cracks. Not everyone's following Peters blindly. And that little act of defiance gives Seth and his team a sliver of hope. Makes you realize the lines between good and bad, right and wrong, they're blurry in this world.
Talk about blurry lines. Remember how Seth was convinced they were being watched inside Haven? Turns out his gut was right. They find hidden cameras and bugs. Talk about unsettling. They were being monitored the whole time.
Total game changer. Not only does it drive home the lack of trust, but it brings in this paranoia. Who planted those devices? Someone in the Brotherhood, or someone even closer. It's a question that hangs over everything.
The tension just keeps ratcheting up, right? And just
Yeah.
when you think you've got a handle on things, bam. Peters, the big boss man of the Brotherhood, drops a bomb. His real goal is to assassinate the president and the vice president.
Now we're talking. That changes everything. We've gone from exposing a militia to preventing a national crisis. And Seth and his team are caught right in the middle.
As if the pressure wasn't high enough. We've got this whole Speaker Quillen thing hanging in the balance. Why is he so important to Peters' plan? Deal's dangling that in front of us, making us question everyone's motives.
It's classic foreshadowing, that need-to-know factor. Deal's a pro at keeping you hooked, constantly looking for clues, especially in a story like this, where trust and deception are the name of the game.
And speaking of deception, we can't forget about Adam's team. The fact that Peters plans to wipe out both teams after the assassinations tells you everything you need to know about how he operates.
No kidding. Seth and Tegan were expendable from the start, pawns in a much bigger game. And that realization adds a whole other layer to the story.
We leave these excerpts with Seth and Tegan prepping for their roles in this assassination plot. They're walking into a lion's den, and the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Will they be able to pull it off?
It's the ultimate cliffhanger, leaving you desperate for more. But beyond the action, you're invested in these characters, you know. Will they make it out alive? And if they do, what'll it cost them?
Talk about a high-wire act, right? They've got to play their parts while trying to sabotage everything.
And Deal ramps up the tension, shifting from infiltration to this race against the clock. It's not about uncovering the truth anymore. It's about stopping a national crisis from happening. We see all their training come into play, navigating security details around the president and VP. Makes you realize the level of planning involved in these situations.
And if that wasn't enough, they get split up. Seth, Tegan, Violet, and Noah are assigned to President Martin, while Knight, Marsh, and Bowen give Vice President Reynolds. Like watching two high-stakes chess matches at once.
Exactly. Deal juggles these parallel storylines so well, building to this climax that leaves you breathless. And Tegan, when she sets up that sniper's nest, my heart was pounding just reading it. She's completely exposed, every move magnified, knowing one slip-up could be disastrous.
Really drives home the pressure these operatives are under. And then, when she takes that shot aimed just above the president to sell the assassination attempt, you feel this rush of relief, but also, wow, the risks she's taking.
It's one of those moments that makes you question everything. Her actions, even though they're meant to save lives, they're still incredibly dangerous. Speaks to the tough choices undercover operatives face. Sometimes the ends justify the means, you know.
While Tegan's running that diversion, Seth and his team are facing off against the Brotherhood's enforcers. This whole brawl goes down in a hotel ballroom, and Deal doesn't hold back. Every punch, every move, it's described in detail.
What's impressive is how they neutralize the threat without blowing their cover. They're fighting for their lives, but they have to maintain this facade, this sense of normalcy. Shows you their skill, their ability to stay calm under pressure.
Meanwhile, Tegan's trying to get out of that abandoned building with Theo, one of the enforcers, right on her tail. Talk about an adrenaline rush. She's thinking on her feet, using her surroundings, her wits.
And just when you think she's in the clear, the FBI shows up. Another layer of complexity, right? Who's really calling the shots here? It keeps you guessing.
It's a wild ride until the very end. Even with the assassination stopped, the danger's not over. Peter's planned to take out both teams regardless. Shows you how ruthless he was.
They were expendable to him. And realizing that, it adds this weight to their decision to join Fortress Security. They survived, but at a cost, leaving their old lives behind, assuming new identities.
Definitely bittersweet. But there's hope too, right? Like they found something worth fighting for. That final scene with their engagement party, surrounded by the team, it says it all. They formed their own family, people who get what they've been through.
And that brings us to the heart of Covert Mission and what this deep dive leaves you thinking about. Trust. In a world of smoke and mirrors, who can you really trust? It makes you examine your own relationships, your own beliefs.
We've covered a lot of ground with this one, from the streets to the halls of power, from betrayal to bravery. Covert Mission isn't just a thriller. It gets under your skin, makes you think about human nature, the choices we make when the stakes are high.
Absolutely. And on that note, think about this. The next time you question someone's motives, the masks they wear, remember Seth and Tegan, remember their journey. Sometimes the truth is far messier, far more interesting than we imagine.